During the year 2020, only 8% of ASHA SLPs and audiologists identified as bilingual. This is an astonishing statistic on its own, but when you factor in that the top 3 languages other than English spoken in Texas are Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese, this shows how we could potentially be underserving our bilingual population in the speech pathology field. All 3 of these languages have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of speakers across the state of Texas. And it's important that we have the resources in order to serve this population. As cited in one study done by Pham and Ebert in 2020, DLD is notoriously underdetected, and there remains a need for effective and efficient identification procedures for the disorder. This becomes more difficult when we begin assessing and diagnosing bilingual children. So what is a developmental language disorder, or DLD? DLD, also commonly referred to as a specific language impairment, involves difficulties using and learning language without the occurrence of another abnormal developmental condition. In other words, it encompasses any difficulties with language development in the presence of otherwise typical development. When assessing and diagnosing Vietnamese bilingual children, SLPs also need to be able to distinguish between a language difference versus a language disorder, and I will discuss this in a future video. Assessing monolingual children is relatively straightforward. The SLP administers the standardized assessment and reports the results after. This is because norm-referenced assessments get the results by taking a sample, which usually consists of monolingual speakers, from the larger population. This allows SLPs to compare a client's performance to the general population to determine if language is considered within normal limits. However, in the bilingual population, there are many different factors that can impact performance on language assessments. These factors can blur the line between language differences and language disorders, so the process of diagnosing bilingual children isn't very cut and dry. One of many examples is that Vietnamese and English have very different phonemes that they use. Here is a chart that I made that was adapted based on one available on the ASHA website. I included color coding to highlight the differences and similarities between Vietnamese and English. Essentially, the issue is that there's just a lack of comparative data for bilingual children when developing standardized assessments.